everyone, my name is Olivia. I am a new YouTuber and I just wanted to do like a formal introduction and let you guys know who I am and kind of what I'm about. My background is definitely aviation. I went to school for it. That's what my career has always been in. But lately I have just been so in love with learning about makeup and skincare and most things beauty that I just wanted to have some sort of platform to explore more on it, share it with you guys, and just grow. So this was what I came up with. I think it's going to be really fun. And without further ado, let's get to my look today. There are three main things you should really know about me. Number one is that I am a diehard aviation lover. I will always love aviation. I love airplanes, and that's what I do. I'm actually an aircraft dispatcher and I love it very much. I wouldn't change it for anything. I work with an amazing group of people. It's my number one passion. So it will always be my first love. Makeup is coming up in a close runner up. So number two is that I have three wonderful dogs. I love them very, very much. And you will always probably hear dog barking, drinking, like playing noises in the background, and I know it's not always professional to have such noises in the background, but they're dogs and I'm not gonna yell at them because they're playing and I'm trying to make a video. No, they have my heart and I'm just gonna let them be dogs. My life isn't super complicated. The COVID didn't mess with me as much as it has some other people. I was working remotely before that hit, so I'm not too stressed out about it. Again, I love what I do, and this is just a way for me to express another passion and like enjoy it while I'm doing it, because makeup can always be more therapeutic, and I have been seeing that for a lot of people on other YouTubers that I've been watching, and I just think that's awesome. Or at least I know how they're getting to that conclusion. So like, I haven't gone to beauty school by any means. I definitely would like to, and I've done a little bit of research on it. The schools that I have found though are, one, they either don't really fit what I'm looking for, or two, they're solely online and I don't think I quite understand the concept of doing all of your assignments on yourself, because then I feel like I'm not getting the experience of different skin tones or how colors work with different skin tones, and I just don't know if that would be the most beneficial way for me to learn. So I think I'm going to wait maybe a year or so, or at least until I can attend like a live school or course, or even if it is online, so I don't have to do it myself. Maybe I can try it on different people, or once a week go somewhere to learn about different skin tones. I don't know. That seems to be my biggest like obstacle right now, because I guess I just don't understand. If you're just practicing on yourself, how do you learn to do it on someone else? That's my thought process on it. But I would really like to go to school and learn actual makeup techniques and be able to look at a photo and be like, this is the technique they use, rather than I think I could do that and just kind of wing it. I really would like to know. I would love to hear about your experiences. How have you guys learned makeup? Has it just been watching tutorials? Have you actually gone to school? If so, please leave a comment on which school you went to. I am desperately trying to keep my options open and trying to find a good one. What are some of your favorite techniques as well? Do you love doing a cut crease? Are you really good at doing winged eyeliner? I'm not a huge eyeliner person, but if I could maybe learn how to do it. My biggest issue is that I have really hooded lids, so it kind of looks like it swoops, and I don't like that. And I know that there's a way to make it so it doesn't do that. I just haven't practiced enough on myself to get it. So I guess I really just started off with, this is what I do, these are my dogs, and then asked you guys makeup questions. I guess I should tell you a little bit more about me. I am from the northwest side of Colorado. It's a pretty small town, so when I graduated high school, I was ready to get out. I came to Denver for 4 years, got my aviation management degree, and then after my 4th year, I was pretty unhappy in Denver. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go. And my parents were living in Texas at the time, so I was like, can I just come stay with you guys for a little bit? I was in Texas for 2 months. So I moved back to my hometown, and I was with my high school sweetheart. I still am. His name is Ryan. We've been together for the better part of 10 years. So from Texas, I moved back to Hayden, and I moved in with Ryan, and I had my dog Millie. So it was basically just me and Millie most of the time. Ryan worked a lot, which is fine. He's in the middle of building his own company, so that's what he needed to do. And it took me a little while to find a job, so I was just kind of hanging out, being miserable. When I was in Texas, I obviously took Millie with me, but my mom has 2 chihuahuas. The definition of the mean chihuahuas. We came back and she was just super lonely. So I was lonely, she was lonely, Ryan was just miserable because I was miserable. And it wasn't until, I think like 2 months went by before I found a job. And then we ended up coming over the hill to the east side of the state. And flash forward a couple years, and I now have a remote dispatching job. We have 3 dogs, and we're doing very well. So it makes me happy that even through our struggles, we're where we are at, and we're doing okay. But as I mentioned, I have 3 dogs. I've already mentioned Millie. She was my first puppy, and then we ended up getting Molly, and then we ended up getting Cooper. So Millie and Cooper are pit bulls, and Molly is a corgi. And we love them all very much, but without saying that Millie is the favorite, Millie is the favorite. I got her when she was 8 weeks old, and she just became my pride and joy. I had such a hard time leaving her at home, and my anxiety would be through the roof if I had to leave her for long periods of time. Especially when we moved back to Hayden with Ryan, because the closest grocery store was 20 minutes away, and my anxiety only lasted, I could really only be away from her for maybe like 20 minutes at a time. It was really hard. Ryan really had to put up with a lot for me to like let my guard down and be okay. And I mentioned earlier that she was super lonely. We still have friends that his parents breed corgis. So at the time, Ryan and Millie and I had only been in Colorado for maybe 3 months or so, and our friends were like, yeah, we're having a corgi litter. We're gonna get a corgi. You might want to go check them out. And we're like, we should probably go check them out. Might as well, right? So we went and looked at the corgis 2 days after they were born, and I'm like, Ryan, we need to get Millie a friend. She's super lonely. And Ryan absolutely fell in love with Millie, so he's like, yeah, I know she's lonely. There were only 2 corgis in the litter, so our friends took one, and then we took the other one, and I'm so happy we did. Molly was one of those puppies where she was so smart, but she was just not quite there. Like, she had the hardest time potty training. She was miserable to potty train. She knew she wasn't allowed to go in the house. She'd get spanked every time, and yet she'd turn around and just do it again. But she knew she wasn't allowed to do it. Or at the time, we were renting this house, and we put in one of those doggy doors that you put in and then close your door on it. And she'd bring in branches and then chew up the branches in the living room. She'd get her butt whooped. And then again the next day, she'd do it again, all over. Like, she was super smart. Just, I don't know, didn't care or just didn't put it all together. And to put her on a leash, you would have thought I was murdering her, the way she would whine. We'd walk down we were obviously in a suburb, so we'd walk down the street and she would just cry the whole time. And I would get these stares like, what are you doing to that dog? Do I need to call animal control? Like, that's what I thought other people were thinking. she just didn't want to be on a leash. And corgis are naturally, they're herding dogs. So like they're good at being on a ranch and they're just kind of bred into that. So it's not like she really needed a leash. She was smart enough to just kind of follow me. But obviously we were in a neighborhood and most neighborhoods require you to put your dog on a leash, which I don't always enjoy. So flash forward a little bit, and Ryan and I went to lunch one day and we happened to just drive past this, it was a pet store. They had a huge sign saying adoption event. I was like, oh, do you want to go to the adoption event? And he's like, sure, but we're not going to get anything unless it's another pit bull. And I'm like, sold. Totally my thoughts as well. I wasn't expecting there to actually be any pit bulls. There are 3 crates. The first crate had 3 8-week-old pit bull puppies. The second crate had 2 dogs in it. I'm not quite sure what their breeds were. And then the third crate had just 1 dog, 1 pit bull, and it happened to be Cooper. I mean, of course, I went and said hi to the 8-week-old puppies because, I mean, the puppies, you have to go say hi. But Ryan went over to Cooper, and we're like, well, they told us he was almost 2 or 2. We think he's a little younger than that because he's very, very puppyish, So we asked if we could take him for a walk. We're like, do you need our ID or anything to make sure we bring him back? And they're like, no, just take him for a walk. We did. We fell in love with them, and we're like, we're going to go get our puppies. We lived pretty close, so we would never just bring home another dog and not introduce them to our 2 dogs first. So we went home, we got the girls, and we brought them back to meet, and everybody was just in love with Millie because most people are. She's beautiful. But they got along really, really well. So we're like, can we do a test trial for about a week? And they're like, yes, but technically you still have to do the adoption. So we filled out the application, we paid the fee, and we brought Cooper home. The first thing he does is pee on the bed. And we're like, hey man, you can't do that. And we take him outside. Potty trained since, so he's good. After about 3 days, the adoption lady shoots me a text message and she's like, how's it going? And I'm like, oh, it's going great. We're gonna keep Cooper. We're keeping him. And then I call Ryan and I'm like, so I told the adoption lady we were keeping Cooper. We're not giving him back. And he's like, Liv, I knew that after day 1. And I'm like, as long as you know, we're good. And that is how we created our family of 3. I mean, technically there's 5 of us if you include me and Ryan, but we have 3 babies. Ryan and I split our time. We take care of where I grew up, my family's ranch. It was neglected for a little while. I mean, I have 2 older brothers and my parents are divorced. I mean, they still get along very well, but they're divorced. So my dad is still in Texas and my brothers just aren't around anymore. Ryan and I decided we were gonna take care of it and it was gonna be our home. Well, we also have our house on the east side of the state, about an hour north of Denver. So we kind of split our time going back and forth. We love being there. The Wi-Fi is not very good, so for my job, it's not the best place to be. But we do really enjoy there, and eventually we would like it to be more of our full-time residence rather than being in the city. But we love our house here too. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to have 2 places, especially an old ranch. I mean, the house is over 100 years old. So, I mean, every time you think you've got a project finished, you don't. Yeah, and this year has been especially difficult because all of our appliances at our house here decided they didn't want to work anymore. So we've been in a battle with our home warranty people, which when you go and do your closing for your house and they're like, oh, we don't want to replace anything, but we'll give you a home warranty, say no, because your home warranty, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And then the ranch, obviously, it's not perfect, it's old. Well, the appliances started to break there too. But I mean, you can't really not have a furnace. It's just a lot all at one time, but I wouldn't change anything. Definitely would never give give the place up. I would never sell it by any means because I'm the 5th generation to live in that house, so I'll never give it up, but it's just a lot of work and that's okay. But I mean, that's the gist of our life. We work, we have dogs, and we take care of 2 houses. That's really all I have on me right now. I would love to hear if any of you guys have dogs or animals. I love cats too. Ryan and I actually discussed I was probably a vet in another life because of how much I love animals. I've told him that I wanted a donkey farm before, and at the ranch we have the space. So it's not really an outrageous idea. And donkeys are meant to protect your herd. So like if you have a wolf, for instance, because I'm a little sassy about the wolves being reintroduced into Colorado, come to attack your herd of your sheep or horses or cattle, whatever you've got, the donkeys are actually meant to scare them off, scare off predators. So I think it'd be really cool to have a donkey farm. I do feel very blessed. I love the fact that Ryan and I have the option to go back and forth as much as we get to. I just also feel blessed that my family was like, we know you're going to take care of it and we're good with that. So it just means a lot that my family backs us up 100% with the ranch, and I know Ryan's family is really enjoying holidays there because there's just enough space for the kids to run around. There's enough rooms for everybody to stay the night. So I know we've been nominated for holidays. So last Thanksgiving was our first year hosting, and after that, Ryan's brother convinced his mom to do Christmas there as well. I think we've been nominated again this year. I feel blessed that we can do that. We have our 3 dogs who love being there. They get a lot more baths while they're there, and they don't like those, but you gotta take the losses with the win. It's especially hard because there's not a shower in the place with like a removable head, so you just gotta fill up cups. In the summertime, it's not too bad because we have an outdoor hose, but I mean, it's ice cold water, so in the spring and fall, you can't just freeze your dogs. I guess you can consider my 3rd main thing you needed to know about me was my family and the ranch. It's just always going to be at least my happy place. I know people say like nothing is permanent in this world, and that's true to some extent, but in my mind, that ranch will always be permanent to me. Oh, and one last thing. I'm not a huge lip person. I like chapstick. I love lip balms. I'm such a chapstick person. I have one in my truck. I have one in Ryan's truck. I have one in my purse, on my work desk, on my bedside table. Sometimes I even have them in specific coat jackets. That way, if I wear pants with no pockets, I just have it. I am starting to learn, though, that there are lip glosses that feel like lip balm and chapsticks. So I am dabbling a little bit into those as well. So this is the final look for me today. I know I babbled a lot about the ranch and my dogs. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about me. And those are the 3 main things that are me, but allow me to be creative and allow me to do this, but also allow me to follow my aviation career. And it's just, I'm not a super complicated person. I'm just living a simple life, but I did want to share it with you. That way you guys didn't think, oh, there's this random new YouTuber and we don't know anything about her. So I think it's important to give you a little bit of background information. Anyways, I will be here Tuesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you'll hit that subscribe button, we'll keep this going, and welcome to the family. Thank you.